Hi, I'm Lisa Prather, and welcome to The Voice of Health with our host, Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, where lives are changed every day through the natural approach to healthcare. We're continuing our series on B vitamins, to be or not to be, the continuing saga of B vitamins.
You did say it. Again, you thought that was pretty corny.
Yes, I did. You thought of it.
Yeah. You know, I thought it was brilliant, but that's okay.
We'll allow corny.
Okay, corny.
All right. So, Dr. Prather, why a show on vitamins?
Well, it's the basic building block of life. It's also the basic building block of a functional practice. Mm-hmm. You have to understand the vitamins to be able to help people to get better. When they first discovered vitamins, this was something that was a very exciting time, because they were finding out why people got sick and what was the basic underlying issues involved in getting people well. And one of the things is that vitamins have had there's been, a vitamin, people have taken that for granted. Mm-hmm. I've had other doctors who aren't involved in functional medicine say, vitamins, no big deal. Here, take this pharmaceutical. And really, you need to get to the underlying reason on why people are getting sick. And the basic building blocks, they call them vitamins for a reason. Mm-hmm. They thought they were minerals, vital minerals, but they are vital to our health and well-being. And one of the building blocks on getting well and having optimal performance.
Yeah, as we're going through this series, and any time we've done vitamins, because recently we did vitamin A, right? And D, and E. Yeah. Right. But just so important, and I think you're right. I think we do take them for granted.
Yeah, there's kind of a poo-poo attitude.
Yeah.
And as I went through, the reason that I decided to go on ahead with vitamins, especially going through all the B vitamins. I mean, it seems like an awful lot. You were just commenting on that. How many more do we have? But there's an awful lot.
Saga.
Yeah, the continuing saga of B vitamins. But I got a tremendous amount of feedback on doing the A, D, and E, and how that the people were pretty excited. We had an awful lot of people asking to get tested for those vitamins, because it was hey, I've got some of those symptoms. Mm-hmm. Am I lacking those vitamins? And one of the biggest things is that the reason that vitamins aren't given the credit that they're due is because people don't know whether they need them or not. And a lot of times you take vitamins and you don't really need them. So understanding that a good functional doctor can test to see which ones you're deficient in and which ones you aren't, and get those up to par. Mm-hmm. The last thing you want to do is just pee out your vitamins. Right. You don't want to waste your time on that.
Or money.
Mm-hmm. And so, but they are very essential, and a tremendous number of problems have been fixed or improved by giving vitamins. So having that underlying type of a issue is important, and it kind of shows all the things that occur if you are low on that particular vitamin.
And you can find that out through blood tests, right?
Yes, we can do testing and find out for sure what vitamins you're low on, which ones you aren't.
Okay. I think you explained this, but explain again, what are vitamins?
Sure. Vitamins are basic components that people need to survive. They're vital to survival. Mm-hmm. Also, they are things that you really need to get from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins? What are the difference?
Certainly. Fat-soluble, you retain those. In other words, you can build up a supply. The body keeps the supply. They are important to get into the system, but also they can become toxic. So you can get too many. You have to watch both your deficiency and your toxicity associated with those. Mm-hmm. And those are the A, D, E, and K. are the basic types of fat-soluble vitamins that are necessary. And then you have the water-soluble vitamins, which are the B vitamins and vitamin C. And those are the ones that you need to have a daily supply of. You can't really, just hold those into your system. So you need to make sure that you're getting those vitamins on a continual basis. If you get, but the toxicity isn't there because you get too many, you just pee them out.
Mm-hmm. That's good. You don't.
It is good.
Okay, so we covered B1, thiamine, B2, riboflavin, B3, niacin. We covered that last week.
And those are, we have those on our podcast, on our website. Mm-hmm. So people can go back and look at those and actually see or listen to, what was involved with each of those. And it was interesting, all the different types of things that were involved in that, wasn't it?
Right. Really interesting on each of those. So now there's a B4.
B4, yes.
Not BEFORE, but B4.
Right. And B4 isn't that well known. It's something that if you look up B4, you're really not going to find that. And also, when you studied it in biology class, they probably didn't cover B4.
Why is that?
Because it was eventually considered not really a vitamin. Because it was something that the body seems to produce quite well on its own. However, we have found quite a few deficiencies that are associated with that. And it is something that we do carry with, that is something that we have found that is necessary to supplement with people. And it's called adenine.
Adenine. And we carry that at the Prather practice.
Before, yes. As a matter of fact, I had some people sit there and say, well, I've heard of these B vitamins, but I haven't ever heard of a B4 before. Yeah,
that's a lot of B4s.
Yeah, before. Which, if you're studying, even going to nutritional classes, they're not really usually going to cover B4. So it's something that is very important, and something that we find oftentimes some deficiencies in, and that is oftentimes something that we need to supplement and to add into the system. And a lot of the nutritionists out there actually use adenine and don't know that it's actually considered vitamin B4. Huh. And so there's just a little bit of a little fun little thing associated with that.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice name, adenine.
Adenine, yeah.
Yeah, you can name your child adenine. So what is the function of adenine?
Well, adenine is involved with protein synthesis and energy. So it is a component of DNA, RNA, and ATP. So it goes into those, and so your basic building blocks of your cellular structure. So the DNA, of course, is your genes. Mm-hmm. RNA is involved with the reproduction of the proteins in your system, and ATP is your energy. So all the things that are involved with keeping your genes healthy, keeping your protein synthesis up, and your energy production going. So it has a big things that we're looking for on that is normal heart function. So oftentimes, if we're having some problems with the heart, we can give adenine into as a supplementation and see some real changes on healing of the heart. So damage to the heart as that's being regenerated, very, very important for the heart. Immune system. If we're having some energy production, takes a lot of energy to help to get the immune system, and you remake your immune system on a regular basis. So if you're under stressors, if you have some infection, if you throw some adenine in there, then the white blood cell production actually increases. So very helpful along those lines. Mm-hmm. Mental alertness and clarity is very important because the DNA, RNA, and ATP is very important for the brain. The areas of most activity, and the three areas that we talked about, have the most turnover and the most activity. So a tremendous amount of your energy is involved with brain production, heart production, and making your immune system on a regular basis. So those are the cells that are turned over quite a bit. And so having the adenine really helps those out tremendously.
Important.
Very important.
And why isn't it not addressed?
Well, it's why it's not considered as important. It wasn't found to be as much of the deficiency as people had thought before.
Okay.
So as they were classifying them, they had made it B4 at the beginning, trying to figure it out, but then they saw that it was a component of the other parts, so there was a little confusion on that. But we like to consider it the B4 vitamin adenine, and something that's very important and something that's missing in quite a few people.
And you carry it at the Prather practice.
We do carry it at the Prather practice, yes.
Okay, when we come back, more on B4 adenine. You can win a free 60-minute massage in a relaxing spa at the Prather practice. Each month we have a drawing to give away a free massage to one of our lucky Facebook and Twitter fans. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. The Voice of Health Wellness Tip with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather practice.
One of the things that we do is we support families during vaccinations, make sure that they have the best outcomes. An example of that would be a mom who came in and she had adopted a child. They had taken the little boy to the doctor for the vaccinations. They had gotten the vaccination, and that night the child went into convulsions, had high fever. They took him into the emergency room at the hospital. He actually died once. They revived him, were able to get him through everything, and then he was able to get home. Very traumatic experience. And then they said, well, it's time for the child's next vaccination. The mom said, well, I correlate that completely with the vaccination. The doctors denied that had anything to do with the vaccination that was done. And they said, you're required to go on ahead and have that child vaccinated. And she came in to me very distraught, and she said, what do I do with this? So I said, well, we actually work with that. What we did is I said, which vaccinations are you going to have? And we made up homeopathics for those. We also gave some thymus and some other different types of supportive type of material. Made sure that the vitamin A was up to normal levels, which has a lot to do with how you respond to vaccinations. Matter of fact, the vitamin A level also has a determination on how well children respond to vaccinations, whether they go into crisis or not.
How was this child's vitamin A?
Low, because they had come from an orphanage. So what we did was we gave all those types of things, got it all prepared, and I said, bring the child back immediately. After the vaccination, we'll check him in at that point. We checked him, added a couple things, and the child did fantastic. There was absolutely no reaction, no abnormal response. And we've done that with quite a few children, on parents who were concerned of reactions either the child had had a problem before. Whenever we were able to work with them, they had gone through the vaccinations with absolutely no issues.
So adding that support.
Again, we're trying to take the structure-function model and then integrate it into the medical model. There is a lot of controversy about vaccinations and whether it does cause damage to children. We have 1 in 6 children that are diagnosed right now, according to the CDC, with learning disabilities. We also have 54% of all children right now have some type of chronic disease. That did not used to be there. There is something that we have done wrong with our children. We know that there's an issue, but we don't know exactly where it's coming from. We need to find out a different way of actually working with this, and we feel that structure-function care could be the answer.
Schedule your appointment at the Prather practice, 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. The Prather practice, restoring hope. Are you frustrated by not getting to the root cause of your health issue? Are you tired of not knowing why you're always fatigued? Are you wanting to say no to toxic drugs? Have you lost hope? Are you just tired of being sick and tired? At the Prather practice, we want you to know that we have the answers for you. We offer the alternative to the disease care model. We are the drug-free model to health and wellness. At the Prather practice, we look for the underlying cause of your health problem and not just the symptomatology. Through thorough diagnostics, we find your individual health blueprint for your treatment. Where the disease care model is symptom-based, the structure-function model we practice gets to the root of your health issue. The Prather practice is the most comprehensive wellness center in the Midwest. Our integrated practice offers you the most treatment options to restore your health and your hope. Learn more about the Prather practice by calling 317-848-8048 or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. You're listening to The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, the most comprehensive wellness center in the Midwest. We're talking today about to be or not to be, the continuing saga of B vitamins. I should say that like
yeah, you got to say that with an English, with an English accent.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll let you do that.
Okay.
So we're talking about B4. In our show last week, we talked about B1, B2, and B3, which are thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. And we're talking about B4, adenine, and did I say that right? Or
adenine? Yeah, adenine. Yeah,
okay. All right. I really like that for a name. Maybe that's why I switched.
One of your grandkids called one of the girls. It sounds like a feminine name.
It does.
Adenine, yeah.
So what are adenine's deficiency signs then?
Well, the things that we look at for that can occur if you're low on adenine, first off, is chronic fatigue. It is absolutely essential for ATP. So we have had people who, chronic fatigue is one of the major complaints that we have going on. And when people have really bad fatigue, where, they're just not functioning that well, trying some adenine is one of the things that is very, very helpful, and we've seen some excellent results on that. Fibromyalgia. If people increase their energies in their system, the fibromyalgia has some excellent results. Cardiac arrhythmias, we had talked about the heart, how important that is. Chronic constipation also is affected by that. Diabetes. One of the things is that diabetes really wears out the system, and adenine can be one of the things that is really important for the diabetes. Infections, anemia. One of the things that we've had some real good results with is Parkinson's. Matter of fact, Parkinson's patients, adenine is one of the things that we found has been pretty critical, and almost every Parkinson's patient has needed some adenine. So adding that into their program is one of the things that people can really see a big difference.
What kind of changes have you seen with?
Well, definitely their energy, their ability to stand up straight. It's really cut down a lot on the shaking,
the tremors.
As any Parkinson's patients can tell you, the more fatigue that they get, the worse their symptoms. And anything that increases your symptoms when you get tired, adenine should be something that's thought of. But Parkinson's patients, definitely there's a huge correlation on that. And, it's not ever cured them, but it's certainly slowed down. One of the major components that we look at is slowing down Parkinson's, and then also cutting down on their symptoms. Sometimes the combination of different supplements that we use for Parkinson's gets better results even than the pharmaceuticals. So you're
saying adenine can be real helpful if when you get fatigued you have an increased symptoms,
whether it's fibromyalgia, cardiac arrhythmias, all those different types of things.
A lot of autoimmune, huh?
A lot of autoimmune.
It helps.
Also Alzheimer's, and then hair loss. I had a patient that we tried most of the normal types of supplementation for hair loss and really couldn't see any difference. And then we added some adenine and then was able to reverse the alopecia that was involved with that. So the looking at that as one of the very big possibilities along those lines. And then just like with the Parkinson's, Alzheimer's is something that you think of you should be thinking about adenine as one of the things that you would add into their program, especially whenever, again, we're talking about immune system problems, heart problems, or any type of neurological issues, especially upper motor. Then thinking about adenine is something that should be thought about.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very important.
Yeah, very important.
So what are the sources of adenine in the diet?
Adenine, it's very good in brewer's yeast. And of course, brewer's yeast is one of the big things that
you just want us to drink beer.
Vitamins. What's that?
You just want us to drink beer.
Good quality beer, where they use really good quality brewer's yeast and no alcohol and no sugar in it, is the big things that is important. Whole grains. Now, this is where people, one of the big sources of adenine that you can get supplementation from is bee pollen. Mm-hmm. You know, when people are taking bee pollen and they feel the energy boost?
Yeah.
Well, it has quite a few different types of things, but the big thing is it has high levels of adenine. That's why people feel that energy boost. And that's something that a lot of the Parkinson's and Alzheimer's patients have found that they didn't know that they were getting the adenine, but they say when they take bee pollen that all of a sudden their symptoms go down. And that was the supplement adenine was really what was making the difference on that. So bee pollen is actually one of the ways that you can get a supplementation on that. Royal jelly, bee propolis is also another big form on that. Spirulina, aloe vera. It has quite a bit of adenine in it. So as we give aloe vera, they can also get a good level of adenine in that.
The aloe vera juice.
Yeah, aloe vera juice. Kelp, green leafy vegetables, honey, cayenne pepper, and berries are all great sources of adenine. And as you can put those in, I like to make a little bit of a berry
smoothie,
honey, and bee pollen. Make that all together, and it gives you a good energy throughout the day. And really, that energy is coming from adenine.
Very interesting. So, what is the optimal intake for B4?
B4, it's 25 to 75 milligrams, and it's something that you should be taking on a daily basis just to keep your energy up, because again, it's water soluble. So keeping up on that is a good way of doing that.
But it's important, right, to get it checked.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is good. But you don't really, toxicity really is very low associated with that.
Because this is a water soluble.
Water soluble, except it can exacerbate asthma. So if you already have asthma, there have been times that as you would get large amounts of adenine in your system, that it can actually exacerbate it. So you need to be aware of that.
So that's one of the toxicities of it.
That's the only toxicity that we know of.
Okay. All right. So if you have asthma,
right,
you need to watch out. All right. So that's on B4, adenine. What is B5 called?
B5, pantothenic acid.
Pantothenic acid. I love all these names.
I know, it's pretty cool.
And, to think, when did vitamins come about?
Well, I mean, they've always been around, but
right.
But they really discovered them in the 1910, 1920s.
That's a busy time.
It was.
In medicine. Wow. So they were discovered A first, B, and
right.
then...
Yeah, and they thought B was all one vitamin. That's why they called it B. Then they went on to vitamin C. And then they found that there were subsets within the B vitamins.
Okay. Interesting. So what function does B5 have? I'm not even going to attempt to say.
Pantothenic acid.
Yeah.
All right.
That one sounds like a new music group or something.
Oh, no, that's funny. I like that. All right. Metabolism of carbohydrates. Proteins and fats for energy production. So it helps to break those down. It's very important as the body is actually breaking those down. It's a coenzyme. So it helps other enzymes to actually work. That's one of the big things that all B vitamins do. So energy production, and one of the most important things is production of adrenal hormones. So whenever quite a few of the adrenal supplementation that we give also has pantothenic acid in there because it is so important for the adrenals. And like, when I'm testing people and I say that your adrenals are low, they say, well, what's involved with that? And I say, well, you know what adrenaline is? Yeah. Your adrenaline is kind of your get up and go. And I sit there and I say, your get up and go, got up and left.
Got up and went, huh?
So the adrenals are very important for your energy, overall energy of your system. For the red blood cells, that's something that we look at. And it's known as the anti-stress, anti-anxiety, and anti-depression vitamin. It's when people get, a couple things that occur. When your adrenals go low, that is sort of the area of your hormones that keeps you kind of chugging along. And if that starts to drop too low, it can actually cause some of the depression, anxiety, and stress. People have that worn out. I've had people who were very outgoing type of people, and they pushed themselves, had been involved in public speaking, and once they had their adrenals worn out, they all of a sudden had anxiety, stress. They couldn't really function at the high level that they normally could. And getting their adrenals back up to par, also supplying the pantothenic acid, is really important to get their drive back. That's one of the things that we see quite a bit with that.
Interesting. Well, we come back more on the B vitamin. Listen to the Voice of Health radio on your smartphone or tablet on all of the top radio apps available. TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. You can find these apps and more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. Laughter is the best medicine.
I'll tell you my trouble. Got the wrong doctor. You know my doctor, Dr. Vinny Boombox. Know my doctor? And I saw him last week. I told him, Doc, every day I wake up, I look in the mirror, I want to throw up. What's wrong with me? He said, I don't know, but your eyesight is perfect.
Detailed lab tests are crucial to understanding your health. As Dr. Prather always says, if you don't test, you don't know. There are certain lab tests that all of us should have at least once per year. At the Prather Practice, we recommend 3 affordable tests that provide the blueprint to your health. The Prather Profile is the most comprehensive blood analysis available, providing more information about the function of your body than any other test. Minerals are the common deficiencies in the body, and hair analysis is the most effective way to analyze mineral levels. The bowels have the largest influence on the immune system, and the best way to test that is through the GI Effects Stool Kit. The Prather Profile Blood Analysis and the GI Effects Stool Kit are even covered by most insurances. Don't guess when it comes to your health. Discover the blueprint to your health at the Prather Practice by calling us at 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. The Prather Practice, restoring hope. I'm Lisa Prather, and you're listening to The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, where we get to the root cause of your health issue. Well, we're talking today about B vitamins, and I'm just finding it so interesting. There's so many, of these vitamins, like the niacin, the riboflavin. These B vitamins are very important.
Oh, very important.
And then when we did the fat-soluble vitamins, they're very important.
Yeah, all the different types of things that were involved in that. And how important they are. I mean, one of the things that is very, very big for the federal government, World Health Organization, is how to make sure that the population gets enough of their vitamins and minerals and those types of things. Mm-hmm. So that's why supplementation in food is so important.
Right.
When I go in there and read, and they say fortified, enriched, all those types of things, it's not that, hey, we're trying to make this better for you. It's because the federal government makes them put back in vitamins and minerals.
Oh, really?
Because it's not nutritionally sound anymore. So the nutrition and the health of the population is very much correlated on that. So that's why they add vitamin A and vitamin D to milk, because it was a good way to get that into the population, because they were finding a lot of health issues develop. So, looking at on an individual basis, we don't have to think about the whole health of everyone out there, but on your individual basis for you and your family, you need to be thinking of how can I get the proper nutrition and all the nutritional needs that I myself and my family needs.
And when we talk about the sources of these different vitamins, very important.
Very good.
But if you have a deficiency, very important to get blood work to find out what you're deficient in.
And get some special help on those.
So we were talking about the B5 vitamin. What are the deficiency signs of B5?
And I'll say the pantothenic acid.
Thank you. To break that up in syllables.
There you go. Syllables. Well, one of the most important things that we think of for pantothenic acid is neuropathy. So the numbness and shooting pains in the feet is a huge problem. And we find some very, very good results with pantothenic acid. Matter of fact, adding some supplementation along those lines is absolutely critical to be able to heal that up. So a lot of people are out there suffering with neuropathy and the end results of that. And almost everyone who has neuropathy is going to need extra B5 into their supplementation along those lines. So really critical aspect on that.
And you're hearing a lot on neuropathy.
We see a lot of neuropathy in our office. Just because we have there's not too many people who can really work with that. We have really good results on getting neuropathy under control. Fatigue is a big factor. Abdominal pains, interestingly enough, is one of the things that occurs with deficiency signs. Anorexia, where you aren't hungry anymore. Coordination impairment, that's a very important part. And one of the things is, you have to look at who are the people who are most at risk for B vitamin deficiencies. And the people who are most at risk are kids, because they don't eat well. Pregnant women is a big thing because they get deficiencies along those lines. And older people, they really don't usually eat that well, and they get deficiency. And as you get older, having some supplementation is one of the big things. And we've seen some excellent results on coordination and balance issues with pantothenic acid. That was one of the major issues that we had with a gentleman who was having quite a few falls. Got him on some adjusting some other different types of things, some exercises. But then the pantothenic acid really made a big difference for his coordination. Along with that, depression is a big thing that can occur if you get low on pantothenic acid. Eczema. Faintness, hypotension. You stand up real quickly and hypotension, right? Okay. And your blood pressure drops. So if you stand up real quickly and you feel kind of dizzy, then it could be some pantothenic acid needs. Infections. Pantothenic acid helps out quite a bit. Insomnia, irritability. That never happens as you get older. Muscle spasms. All of a sudden, all grandma and grandpa is all of a sudden going to be getting pantothenic acid as Christmas presents. Right. Muscle spasms, nausea and vomiting, nervousness, tachycardia. That's where the heart's beating too fast. Pantothenic acid can actually help to settle that down. Weakness, alopecia, again, hair loss. Acne, very, very big for acne. B5 pantothenic acid we've found on quite a few acne patients. It really seems to make a very big difference. Skin and any type of skin irritations. So I've had several young people come in with acne issues, and pantothenic acid is one of the big things that we always look for, and really get some really good results with that. So for all those who young people who actually listen to the radio, probably get on our podcast, and you have some acne problems, then pantothenic acid would be a good way to kind of look at that.
Yeah, or their parents.
Or their parents, right.
So what are some of the sources of pantothenic acid?
Organ meats. Again, we get back to that. Organ meats, if you have a choice between a fresh steak and a liver, you should take the liver because it has more nutrients in it. Fish, chicken, eggs.
What if you don't see liver on the menu?
Ask them special. You should sit there and say, hey, can you give me some liver? And chicken livers are really good. Cheese, whole grains, avocados, very good source of pantothenic acid. Cauliflower, sweet potatoes, oranges, strawberries, yeast, and legumes are very good ways of getting it.
As you're talking about the different B vitamins, the sources have been really, organ meats seems to be real important, but they're all very different,
yes.
Their sources.
Yeah. For the B vitamins, you can kind of count on organ meats, and brewer's yeast is also always a good source.
That keeps coming up too.
Yeah, that's a very high nutritional type of area to get things from.
So what's the optimal intake of B5?
50 to 100 milligrams.
Okay, and is there any toxicity? Absolutely
no toxicity known. You can take as much of it as you want to.
Interesting. So, why has, this might be just me, but the importance of vitamins, when you hear all these benefits, and their function, they're really important.
Right.
So why don't we hear about them?
The pharmaceutical industry spends $50 million a day in advertising. A day.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. Which is, an awful lot of money if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
The vitamins, people advertising for vitamins is a drop in the bucket. You can't get a whole lot of money off of the vitamins, and you can't patent it so anybody can make it. So there isn't a big push along those lines to sell vitamins. So there isn't the push along those lines, and really we need to switch a lot of our healthcare more to thinking about taking a vitamin instead of taking a drug. That's really where we need to be going with our healthcare.
Yeah, just so interesting as we're going through this, the importance and their function.
Right.
Yeah.
And how critical they are to our health and well-being. And really having someone look at those types of things and working along with that. It's just like with, even if you, of course we had a big show on antibiotics. And one of the things is that you can, if you take some vitamins along with the antibiotics, the effectiveness that is so much greater. So in any type of situation, we should be thinking about what vitamins are necessary and which ones aren't, and how that goes along with that. And the safety of the vitamins is very, very well established. And the effectiveness is very well known, and really where we should be going with a lot of our healthcare.
Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the B6 vitamin. Never miss an episode of The Voice of Health so that you can stay informed and empowered about your health. Get a podcast of our show automatically delivered to you every week by signing up for our show on iTunes. You can find that link on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. And don't forget, thevoiceofhealthradio.com has complete archives of all of our past episodes with an audio library of information to help you add more life to your years and more years to your life. This is The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather. The Voice of Health Wellness Tip with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice. Dr. Prather, what makes your approach and emphasis on the thyroid unique?
We look at it structure functionally, where homeostasis is what is important. Mm-hmm. And homeostasis is a balance, and there's a balance in the thyroid that should be achieved, which you can determine. And the people who have a normally balanced thyroid homeostasis is probably less than 1%.
Wow.
Of the population. There are two systems that control the rest of the body, the nervous system and then also the endocrine system. And as I tell the patients, those are the two things that we need to get fixed first. You have to have a proper functioning nervous system and a proper functioning endocrine system to be healthy. And the thyroid is sort of the workhorse of the endocrine system. And many of the problems that we see in patients once we get the thyroid balanced out, a lot of the issues start to clear up. The people who come in here, often 80% of them have had because they felt that their thyroid was a problem.
Had them checked.
Had them checked, and they were told that they were normal when...
Why is that?
They're not doing the proper blood tests. They're not reading them correctly. Doctors aren't being specific enough on what the thyroid number should be. The American Thyroid Association has said that the numbers need to be much, much tighter than what they are. There's a different type of evaluation. There's reference range, and then there's homeostasis. What is a perfect homeostasis? The labs aren't there to tell you what the blood work should be. Mm-hmm. They're just saying, of the people who come in here, 50% of them have this number. Reference range has nothing to do with where you should be.
Right.
That's
I know
not
you
what it's
look way
designed.
beyond them, and we tell people, and they come in, well, my doctor said, this was normal. And
I say, no, that's not normal. I even find endocrinologists not reading lab tests properly to really understand where that should be, because when we get people into homeostasis range, their symptoms go away. That's where they go, oh, wow, I feel really great. All the different things that I was complaining about are all of a sudden now working properly, and that's because they are in the range that I tell them that they should be in. Right. Because those are the proper ranges that need to be there.
Schedule your appointment at the Prather Practice, 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Or learn more on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com. The Prather Practice, restoring hope.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling, yeah.
You're listening to The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather of the Prather Practice, where our mission is restoring hope to our patients. We're talking today about to be or not to be, the continuing saga of B vitamins, and we're on B6. What is B6 vitamin called?
Pyridoxine.
Pyridoxine. Okay, I've heard of that one. B6 is, is a popular one, very common one.
Yep.
So what is the function of B6?
Well, it is very important. It's what they call a coenzyme, and it's a big part of making body proteins. So that's a very important aspect. And next thing is neurotransmitters.
Okay.
So whenever you're talking about neurological types of issues or things that go on with the nervous system, you think of pyridoxine as something that you would be looking at. It's also very important for red blood cell formation and also for the immunity of the body. Are the big functions that it's involved with.
So why have most of us heard of B6?
Well, the big thing with B6 is the nerves. So as you're talking about some of the deficiencies that are involved with that, carpal tunnel So almost everybody with carpal tunnel is helped with B6. Sciatica, any type of neurological pains, B6 really helps out with.
Interesting. So, what are some of the deficiency signs of B6?
Well, with B6, mood disturbances is a big thing. Insomnia is very important. We had talked about anemia, making of the red blood cells, and any type of impairment of nerve function. Especially, it's very well known for carpal tunnel symptoms. So almost everybody could benefit, if they have carpal tunnel, of taking B6. Matter of fact, that's one of the standard things that we give when people have carpal tunnel, and almost everybody feels better. Many types of symptoms are actually taken care of with that, especially if you have carpal tunnel surgery. Still have some numbness, tingling. Taking B6 is really, really helpful. Eczema. The biggest sign of whenever I see this on someone, I automatically know that they have the B6 deficiency, is cracking of the lips and the tongue. So if they have the cracks along through there,
In the corner of the...
yeah, so that is something that is definitely a sign of B6 deficiency. PMS symptoms, very important. I've had many a young lady do so much better as soon as I gave them the B6. I had one woman who came into the office, and she sits there and she said, she was very astute. She says, well, about 10 days out of the month, everybody and my husband becomes very annoying. And I would like something to help with their annoying attitude that I can take that can really fix all that.
So she was willing to take B6, huh?
Yeah. And the B6 really, really helped out tremendously. Depression. Again, neurological types of issues. Psoriasis.
There seems to be a lot of skin problems.
A lot of skin problems that are associated with B deficiencies. You can actually see that because it is so much involved. The skin is also an area that has a lot of turnover. And anything that has a lot of activity, the B vitamins plays a very big role on that. And, we've had a lot of people do, one patient came in, said that she had constant types of problems with some skin outbreaks. She had used steroids. They'd even done a little surgery on it. Everything just kept on being a problem. And we had put her on some, she hadn't even told me about it, we'd put her on some products. There was some definite issues with neurological and mood, things like that. Put her on several B vitamins, and all of a sudden she came back and she said, well, I didn't even think about vitamins or natural types of things to take care of my skin issues. But it all cleared up, where I'd been taking all these pharmaceuticals and even some surgery, slight surgery to try to help it, and the B vitamins took care of it.
It was just a bonus.
It was just a bonus that went along with it. Anxiety. Balances sodium and potassium levels is a big thing that B6 does. And we see that quite a bit. And when you have that type of split in there, that can cause a lot of issues in your health and well-being. So the sodium and potassium levels balance. Immune system. Dandruff. Dandruff is oftentimes a sign of B6 deficiency, and once you get your B vitamins up to par, dandruff will disappear.
Do they put the B vitamins in shampoos?
They actually do. They actually do use B6 in quite a few different types of formulations for skin products and hair products. So that is something that is actually used. Now, the biggest thing that has a big program along those lines is children with learning problems. So autism, B6 is one of the standard types of things with any type of a child who is autistic. Getting them on vitamin B6 has been one of the things that has really been pushed Any type of spectrum disorder or any type of learning disorder has been helped. Dyslexia, any of those different types of problems, you should look into supplementing the child with B6, and you can get some really good results along those lines. And usually you need a higher level than normal to get those types of changes. So looking at B6 is one of the things that we found has been extremely helpful along those lines. Again, helpful with any type of skin problems, acne, hair, alopecia, anorexia, nausea, arthritis, vision issues, dizziness, facial oiliness, where you have too much oil on your skin, where you kind of feel like it's greasy. That's usually a sign of B6 deficiency. So
again, a lot of skin issues.
And oftentimes what we find is that oily face goes along with dandruff. I've seen that in quite a few of my patients who have that issue, and I see those combinations, especially with some skin outbreaks and maybe a little bit of anxiety. I think of B6 right away as something that is a deficiency. Fatigue, impaired wound healing, and of course neuropathy, and then also seizures is a big thing that we think of with B6.
Yeah, so there's a lot deficiencies with B6.
Right, and it also helps out with decreasing kidney stones. So B6 is one of the things that we think of on taking for kidney stones.
Why is it effective and helpful for autism and things like that, learning disabilities?
The main thing is the neurotransmitters. It really helps with those. It's an important part, sort of a cofactor in making them. So you need that to get those levels up, and if you can get that going, then you can actually see a lot of healing along any type of neurological types of symptoms. They actually think of B6 as the nerve vitamin.
The nerve vitamin, think of it that way.
Right. Matter of fact, there was a product by Standard Process where they called it neurotrophin, and it was B6 with some of its cofactors.
Okay.
So, they even name the vitamins to help you to think of as the nervous system whenever you're talking about the B6. So, of course, obviously, as a chiropractor, B6 is one of the big things that I recommend quite a bit.
Important. So what are the food sources for B6?
Meats, and of course, the largest source is organ meats. Poultry, egg yolks, soy, peanuts, bananas, potatoes, whole grains, and cauliflower. Your good old cauliflower.
Yeah. So what's the optimal intake for B6?
10 to 25 milligrams.
Okay.
Now, if you take too much, now if you start to get up into 500 milligrams, that can cause some neurological numbness and tingling. So whenever you're doing working with some of the kids that has spectrum disorders, they recommend to get some higher dosages, but you really should try to keep that probably at the most at about 200 milligrams for the dosage along.
And the optimal is pretty low.
Optimal is 10 to 25, but you do need to raise that up if you're going to be going for some of the you need to get a higher dosage to get some of the changes in some of the autism or spectrum disorders.
Okay. All right.
So trying to get that up to a higher level is important.
So Dr. Prather, we have about 30 seconds. What would you like to share about vitamins?
Well, we've gotten some really good feedback on going through the different vitamins at this point. People have a lot of interest in that, so we wanted to provide a good breakdown on what all the different types of vitamins, and then also showing up how important vitamins are in all these different types of conditions, and give people a little bit more of a hats off to our vitamins and how important they are.
Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Prather, as always.
Well, thank you, Lisa.
The Prather practice is located at 8902 North Meridian Street on the north side of Indianapolis, just south of the I-465 loop. If we can help you to achieve better health, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with our office at 317-848-8048. That's 317-848-8048. Join us again here next week or anytime on our website at thevoiceofhealthradio.com for The Voice of Health with Dr. Robert Prather.